A few weeks ago, I made a video comparing Uber, Ola, and Rapido on UX. So I was talking about the screens, flows, booking experience, trust signals, which one is better designed. So, and the comments came flooding in. So a lot of you agreed with the verdict, but some of you asked the question I did not fully answer in that video. So why do these three apps feel so fundamentally different from each other? So not just the UI, the entire experience, the entire personality. So, and the answer is not what you expect. So, it is not about the futures, it is not about the technology, it is not about which company has more money, it is about culture. Uber was built for Americans, Ola was built for Indian families, Rapido was built for Gen Z. And when you understand that every single design decision these apps have made starts to make perfect sense. Hi, I'm Rambal, 25 years in UX and product design. And today I'm going to show you something no other tech channel India has talked about. So these three apps are not competing versions of the same idea. They are the three completely different ideas about what a human being needs. Ola is not a copycat. Here is the proof. So, before I get into the origin stories, I want to address something directly. A lot of people think Ola is a copycat of Uber. So, an Indian version of an American idea. I disagree completely and I am going to prove it to you. Yes, both apps let you book a ride. Yes, both have a map and a driver and a fare estimate. But the product decisions underneath, the design of the experience, are built on completely different foundations. So Uber was designed for one person booking one ride. Ola was designed for one person managing an entire family's mobility. So here is the most concrete proof I can give you. So on Uber, if you book a ride for yourself, you cannot simultaneously book another ride on the same account, one active booking at a time. The app does not allow parallel rides. On Ola, you can do that. You can book a cab for your mother going to the hospital, so you can track that ride and simultaneously book another cab for yourself, all from one single account. All right. So why does Uber work this way? So because Uber was designed in America for Americans. In American culture, an adult individual manages their own transportations. So you book your own ride, your mother books her own ride, father books his own ride. So each person is independent individuals. Uber's product assumptions were built on the cultural reality, but in India, it's totally different. In India, technology adoption runs through the family systems. The college going son or daughter is often the most tech savvy person in the household. So they are the one book rights for their grandparents, for their parents, for their neighbor auntie going to the doctor. Sometimes for the entire family going to a wedding in a different directions. So Ola is fundamentally understood this behavior. So they did not just translate Uber into Hindi. So they redesigned the product for Indian family behavior. So this is not copying. So that is the cultural product thinking. And it is exactly the kind of thinking we teach at Aspira. Three origin stories, three different worlds. Uber. It's born from a snowy night in Paris. The year is 2008, Paris, January. So it is freezing. So Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp are at a tech conference level. They step outside after the event and they cannot get a cab. It is cold, it is late, and there are no taxis available. Camp had an idea brewing. So, what if you could tap a button on your phone and a car would come to you? It's not a regular taxi, a black color car. And it's an SUV, something premium, something that felt like having a personal driver. The original Uber was not for everyone. So it was for the business professionals, conference attendees, people who wanted premium point to point transportation. No negotiation, no cash, clean, silent, efficient. So Uber's founding product idea was the individual should never have to wait, negotiate, or feel uncertain. One tap, one car, done. That ethos, individual, premium, frictionless, independent. It's backed into every version of Uber that has ever existed, including the one on your phone today. Ola, born from a problem on a Pune highway. So the year is 2010. Bhavish Agarwal is driving from Bangalore to Bandipur for a holiday. He rents a car. Midway, the driver stops and demands more money than what was agreed. Bhavish refuses. The driver abandons him on the highway. Bhavish gets back to Bangalore furious and he thinks there has to be a better way. So, transparent pricing, reliable drivers, no surprises in the middle. He and Ankit Bhatti launched Ola in December 2010. Initially, they planned as a cab aggregator, but very quickly they realized something that Uber model did not account for. So India does not just need a black color cars, India needs autos. So it needs Kali Pili taxis, right? So it needs a cash payments because a huge portion of the country does not have the credit cards. So remember that I'm talking about in the year 2010 and 11. So it needs drivers who speak Tamil or Kannada or Marathi, not just English. So, and most importantly, it needs to work for the way Indian families actually use the transportation together. So, Ola's founding product idea was build for the chaos and diversity of India, not for the clean simplicity of one American city. So, every future Ola built after that. So, multiple booking, cash support, auto integration, vernacular language, share rights for groups. So all came from that founding belief. Rapido, born from an Airbnb insight. So now this one is my favorite because it starts somewhere completely unexpected. Do you know the story of Airbnb? So three broke guys in San Francisco, so they cannot afford the rent. So there is a design conference in the town and all the hotels are full. So they buy three air mattresses, set them up in their apartment, offer bed and breakfast to the strangers and charge money for that. Air bed and breakfast. So it's called Airbnb. So the insight was not about the hotels. The insight was this. Every home has an empty room. The empty room is an unused asset. So what if you could monetize it? So Rapido looked at in India and saw the same pattern, not with the rooms, with the two-wheelers. So India has a hundreds of millions of two-wheelers. So every one of them has a pillion seat. And for most of the day, that pillion seat is always empty. So Rapido's founding insight in the 2015 was that empty pillion seat is an unused asset. So the person riding the bike is already going somewhere. What if they could carry a passenger and earn money on the way? So it was not designed as a competitor to Ola or Uber. So it was designed as last mile connectivity, the short, affordable ride. So from the metro station to your office. So the 2 kilometer gap that an auto would refuse to take. So Airbnb monetized the empty bedroom. So Rapido monetized the empty pillion seat. Same mental model, different country, different vehicle. So and who adopted this fastest? Not the 40-year-old professional, Gen Z. So Gen Z in cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Chennai, so they grew up in a sharing economy. Zomato, Swiggy, Oyo. The idea of sharing a ride with a stranger on a bike does not feel strange to them. It feels normal. It feels very efficient. So it feels their generation. So and Rapido designed for that. How the cultural DNA shows up in the UX. So now here is the part that matters for this channel. So because I could have told you those origin stories and said interesting history also, but I am a UX designer. So I want to show you exactly how those founding cultures become visible in the screens you use every day. So Uber's cultural DNA in the UX single booking only because the product was designed for one independent individual. Minimal text, maximum visual, designed for an American user. So who expects the self-service. Surge pricing shown as a multiplier assumes the user is comfortable with numeric abstraction. No cash option globally until forced by markets like India. So cash was not in the original cultural assumption. So driver rating is private. So American culture values the privacy and professional detachment. Ola's cultural DNA is in the UX, multiple simultaneous bookings designed for the family manager and not the individual. So it accepts the cash payment, always available, designed for a market where digital payments are still building trust. auto rickshaw fully integrated. Acknowledges that India's mobility is not just cars, share rights feature designed for the Indian value of cost sharing with known people. Vernacular language support, it's designed for a country with 22 official languages. Rapido's cultural DNA in the UX. Bike first, car second. So designed for the last mile users, not premium users, pink rides and scooty options. So designed for the safety and comfort needs of young female commuters. Tip prompt built into booking. So designed for a driver community that depends on the supplemental income. So transparent driver finding flow. So designed for an anxious young user who needs a reassurance. A low price as identity, it's not a discount, a statement about who this product is for. The UX is not a decoration or top of the product. The UX is the product, and the product is always a reflection of who it was designed for. So, criterion one, booking flow transparency. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever opened Uber or Ola, started a booking, watched that progress bar? So, fill up from left to right, and then it resets back to the beginning. That feeling, that specific frustration. What is happening there? The loading bar is not showing you a real information. So it is performing the progress. It is designed to make you feel like something is happening without actually telling you anything about what is happening. So, is there a driver nearby? How many drivers are available? So, why did it reset? So, you have no idea. In UX, this is called a false affordance. The bar implies the information it does not have. So, when it resets, the user's anxiety does not just return. It gets worse than if there had been no bar at all. Now, you just open the Rapido and start a booking. You will see something completely different, a 6-step driver finding flow, and alongside it, real numbers. So, 124 drivers nearby, 4 have accepted your request, or 3 were not accepted your request, so still is searching. So, others are still being notified, all right? So what does that do to your psychologically? So you see 124 drivers nearby. Suddenly you are not anxious. So you are not wondering whether anyone is coming. You know. So 124 people are within the reach. So only 4 have not responded yet. So definitely I'm going to get this right. So this is called the transparent system status. So it is actually the very first of Jacob Nielsen's 10 laws of UX design. The system should always keep users informed about what is going on. So Rapido is following this law. So Uber and Ola are violating it. And this is not a small detail. This is the difference between the user who waits patiently and the user who cancels and switches the apps. Rapido wins this criteria completely. So criteria 2, driver side design. So here is something most users they never ever think about it, but every good UX designers they must think about it. So a ride hailing app is a two-sided marketplace. It has a riders and it has a drivers. So both are users and both need to be designed for. So Uber and Ola for most of their history have designed primarily for the rider. The driver's app is functional, it does the job. But the experience of being a driver is not something that was designed. It's not something that was designed with the same care as the rider experience. So Rapido did something different. So they added a tip prompt. So when you are able to confirm your booking, Rapido shows you the fare and underneath it an option to add a tip. So it would be 10 rupees, 20 rupees, or 30 rupees, 50 rupees. So you can press that and you can add the tips on top of the fees. So think about what that does. For the driver, they now have the possibility of earning 20 rupees more for the same ride. For a bike taxi driver, he is doing 15 to 20 rides a day. So that is 300 rupees of additional income. So almost a full extra trips worth of earning. For the rider, if you add the tip, you become a preferred rider. So drivers are most likely to accept your booking quickly, which means you get your ride faster. The tip feature is not just a kind of a gesture, so it is a product design decision that improves the experience for both sides of the marketplace simultaneously. So that is two-sided design thinking. So it is very rare. and Rapido got it in a right way. Uber introduced tipping globally in 2017. Ola has it too, but Rapido only made it culturally visible, prominent, encouraged, framed as something that helps you get a ride faster. The Indian driver psychology was understood and designed for. So, criteria 3, pricing transparency, surge pricing. So every frequent rider they face this. You open the app during the rain or during the peak hours, during the concert ending, and the price is three times what it normally is. So how each app communicate this is a UX story in itself. Uber shows a multiplier 1.8x, 2.1x. For someone comfortable with the mathematics and pricing model, this is fine. But for a large portion of Indian users, especially first time or occasional users, a multiplier is abstract for them. Is 1.8x bad? So how much more am I actually paying? Ola and Rapido have moved towards showing the absolute fare clearly in upfront. So this is the amount, take it or leave it. So no calculation required. So transparency in pricing is not just a honest, it is respectful. It says that I trust you to make a decision with the real information. So Uber's multiplier model assumes a level of financial literacy that not all users share. Criteria 4, safety design. Safety on a ride hailing app is not just about the emergency buttons. It is about designing an environment where vulnerable users they feel comfortable enough to use the product at all. So Rapido introduced ping rides, bike taxis where the rider is a verified female captain and the service is available for female passengers. So who prefer it? They also introduced scooty rides, an enclosed, more comfortable, more private riding experience compared to an open bike. These are the product decisions that address the real barrier, the discomfort many women feel about sitting behind an unknown male driver on a bike. By solving that barrier, Rapido expanded their accessible market. More women they felt enough to try the product. So that is a good UX serving both user safety and business growth at the same time. The best safety features are the ones users never have to consciously use because the product is designed in a way that removes the threat before it arises. Criteria 5, multi-booking and family use. So coming back to the point I made earlier, so because I want to show you what it actually looks like in the product on Ola, you can book a ride for someone else entirely. So different pickup location, different destination, different passenger name and number. So the booking is managed from your account, but the ride is for someone else. So you can track it in the real time. You get the driver details and you can call the driver also. So you are in a fully in control of the ride that is happening somewhere else in the city. So for an Indian parent managing their elderly mother's hospital visit from their office, this feature is not a nice to have. It is why they choose Ola. So Ola designed for the use case that was invisible to a product team sitting in San Francisco. So that is what makes it original, not copied. So finally, my verdict. So who wins? My verdict is this. So there is no universal winner because these three apps were never trying to win the same thing. Uber wins if you are a solo traveler who wants a premium, predictable, no friction experience. One tap, one car, done. Ola wins if you are an Indian family manager, if you book rides for people other than yourself. So if you use cash, if you need an auto, if you live in the complexity of Indian urban mobility. Rapido wins if you are young, urban, budget conscious, and comfortable with the sharing economy. If you want to get somewhere quickly for a fraction of the price. So if you appreciate honestly in your app. So Uber was built for the American individual, Ola was built for the Indian family, Rapido was built for an Indian Gen Z. So none of them is a copy of the other. All of them are correct answers to different questions. And here is the single biggest lesson from this entire video for anyone who wants to become a UX designer. So you cannot design a good product without understanding the culture, the family system, the economic reality, and the daily behavior of the person you are designing for. So features are not the product. The human being is the product. So Rapido did not beat Uber and Ola on technology. They beat them on empathy. They understand their user more deeply, and it shows in every screen. If you are wondering how do I learn to think like this, so how do I look at an app and see the culture and the product decisions underneath the surface? So this is exactly we teach at Aspira. So we call it as product thinking. So every batch I run, we do sessions exactly like this. So we take the real apps, something like a Uber, Swiggy, PhonePe, IRCTC, and we dissect them. So not just what the screens looks like, why the screens looks that way. So what user behavior they were designing for, what cultural assumption is built into every interaction, because the designers who get hired fastest are not the ones who can use Figma the best. So they are the ones who can explain why a design decision was made. So that is what interviewers are always looking for. So this is what makes a junior designer sound like a senior designer. So if that is the kind of a designer you want to become, so link in the description. All right. So before I go, I want to know something from you. So based on everything you just heard, so which app do you think understood their user the best? Uber, Ola, or Rapido? So drop it in the comments and tell me why. So I read every single one. So if this video changed how you look at the apps you use every day, subscribe. So I make this kind of a content every week. And if you miss the original Uber vs Ola vs Rapido UX comparison, link is on the screen right now. So watch that one next. So hi, I'm Rambal. I'll see you soon in the another meaningful topic. Until then, bye bye.